Bitcoin earlier today hit $100,000 for the first time ever. But each time Bitcoin hits a milestone, it most certainly has crashed, and history has shown us a pattern of doing this. And at the time I'm doing this video, and this is later than I normally do it, it is about 8:15 p.m. Eastern time. And again, by the time you watch this, it could be later. It's already dropped close to $96,000. At one point, it was like $106,000. So it's dropped just a little bit. Not anything scary, but things have been volatile to say the least. What does this mean for you? Is this a dip that you should get in? Is it going to get worse? How should you adjust your portfolio? Or should you just completely sit on the sidelines? Let's go ahead and break it down. There's a lot going on, and this is a very seminal moment, an important moment for crypto, for investing as a whole, because it is a very important milestone. And I scribbled a bunch of notes, and I do need to talk perhaps a bit faster than I normally do, because again, crypto is a 24/7 market, and by the time I finish editing and posting this video, there's going to be yet another milestone, possibly, because again, it's a 24/7 thing. And I sat down and I saw the notification when it hit 100,000, all kind of stuff, and then picking up the kids and all kind of stuff today. I'm like, by the time I sit down, it should still be 100,000 or more. And I looked at it, was above 100,000. And then I checked it. I thought, hey, before I record this video, let me just check it again. And it was like 96. I'm like, oh my God, what is going on here? All right, so let's set the scene as always. Here's what you need to know. Yes, it hit $100,000 per coin. Obviously, there aren't too many people who have $100,000 in Bitcoin, but there are a few. I might know at least one. But the main thing is this. It has been on fire. It has gained more, or close to, because it is changing, close to 50% since election day. And we've talked a little bit about this. The stage is set for crypto as a whole to do incredibly well with the next administration. President-elect Trump has been friendly towards crypto. He says he's going to put someone in charge of the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, who is going to be friendly towards crypto. He has spoken at crypto conferences. He put out a congratulatory message once Bitcoin did hit 100K earlier today. It's wide open for crypto right now, which is good for Bitcoin. It makes a lot of sense, and it is more mainstream now than it ever has been. I think it's going to continue to do so. The more we talk about it, the more people invest in it, the more access that Bitcoin has. But here is the thing. Bitcoin, obviously, and crypto as a whole, does have a pattern. Now, does the past predict the future, all that kind of stuff? Not exactly, but it don't mean nothing. Right? It doesn't mean that you shouldn't learn anything from it. So we've talked a little bit about this in the past. Whether it's 35,000, 25,000, 5,000, whatever, 50,000, whatever number you want to pick, we saw this in 2016, 2017, and I would argue that is perhaps the most important year for Bitcoin for me. And for most people, in terms of really hitting the media scene, that is where Bitcoin really hit the mark for most people, where it hit the public sector. We know that Bitcoin kind of got its birth 2009, 2010, when like really truly started from like the ground floor. But when it was on the news, right, when it hit my radar, when I had to start explaining it and really doing my research and figuring out, 2016, 2017 really started to kick off. It hit. It became popular, and it absolutely crashed. And these crashes are usually anywhere between 30 to 50%. Then it was quiet for a while. That was that first dip, which, looking back, this is when everybody should have been buying, right? We can always look back and do that. Then we had the pandemic, and then we had, I think it was 2021, 2022-ish, absolute crash. FTX fell apart. Terrible, terrible things. The entire crypto structure fell apart. And here we are today in 2024, earlier today, 100,000. And here we are again. Okay, 2 years after the fact, is hitting another all-time high, roughly. Is this, now that we've kind of hit that hype bar, we're getting new regulations, perhaps in the future, Is this going to be yet another crash right around the corner? This is something that I did say could have happened just a few weeks ago. And I'm not the only one that has said this. There have been some crypto experts, put that in air quotes, that said that a 30 to 40% dip could be around the corner. So if you are somebody who is looking to get in, does this mean you should get in now? Does it mean you should wait? What should you do? I have two ways to look at this, two recommendations. If you're interested in crypto and you're truly interested, you've done your research and you understand what Bitcoin is to your extent, right? One, I've said this, and I've said this going all the way back to 2016. I think that 5% bar should still continue to be your bar. It is still relatively new. It is still relatively new. You don't want to get so far into greed, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes, but keep it within reason. Okay, because if this is the peak and you are getting into it where everybody's excited about it and it's on everybody's lips, that's usually when it's too late. We saw this when I turned on TV in the CBS News, the ticker at the bottom, and my grandma's asking me about it. That is usually when it's too late. Okay, when I go home for the holidays and I know my uncle who does not invest is asking me how much he should be putting in Bitcoin, it's usually too late. Okay, that's the peak. That is usually about the end of the cycle. Things are usually about to fall apart. That's kind of when you know. Okay, that's not a guarantee. That's not a scientific study, but that's usually how, buy low, sell high. Be fearful when the whole greed. Y'all know the quote. That's usually how these things go. And again, you've seen it. You saw and remember how it was during the pandemic. All the meme stocks, all the hype around a bunch of stocks. Some were good, some weren't. But you saw how that hype and craze was when you know for a fact, people who were never investors before, investing in all types of stuff that didn't understand what they were doing it just because they saw other people doing it and because it was hot. Now you make that determination on your own, okay? But the main thing is keep it in perspective is number one. That is one thing that you should absolutely do. But if you believe in crypto, which I am a skeptic, but I still hold the Bitcoin that I've been holding, that I've been told y'all that I still hold, but I can still criticize something and continue to hold it, is stay the straight and narrow and just continue dollar cost averaging, because if it continues to fall, you will buy at cheaper prices. And I think if this is a dip, this is a perfect dip for you to continue buying, if that's the case. And if it goes 30, 40%, 50%, if that's where it goes, and I'm not sure if that's going to be the case, you getting a great price. And if you are dollar cost averaging, which you can do on Cash App, bruh, this is a great time to do that. Okay, so you can set up a recurring buy to do that. Again, great time to do that if this is the case. If you have not done so, I set one up a long time ago and forgot it was there. Perfect. Okay, so that is one thing that you could do, and if you just want to put it on autopilot, you can do that. Also, there are some people, and this kind of goes into number two, people thinking that's going to hit $200,000, and I'm not the only one that thinks this, or has read this rather. I don't think this is the second or third article that I read that said it's going to hit 200,000 by the end of 2025. Here's the thing about these predictions. Do not get greedy or buy into these predictions and just think that, hey, this person said X, Y, and Z, and I'm just going to go overboard into this. And the reason why is because the same people that predicted that Bitcoin was going to hit 100,000 said this in 2021. It was going to absolutely hit it by the end of 2021 when it was at whatever price it was, 75,000, 50,000, whatever it was at that point in time. They were right, but it took 3 extra years to do so, FTX to crash to do so, banks to collapse to do so, and most of them didn't survive to get to this point here today. Again, I know one person, Dr. Hans, the investing tutor, who has been faithful. And he's the one person I knew who stayed on that train, and he was absolutely right, okay, and stayed on it. Everybody else was not that person, okay? But outside of that, it ain't many, okay? But the main thing is you have to stay disciplined and not really be blinded or just say complete greed and sell the farm and go completely into it. I think that is the key thing. Is crypto set up to succeed, especially in 2025? I would say yes. Am I going to sell all my stocks, not pay attention to everything, and put 50, 60, 70% of my money into crypto? Am I going to abandon my entire investing strategy and put everything into crypto? That answer is no. Am I going to convert my salary and put it into crypto? No, I'm not going to do that. Will I perhaps, instead of putting, let's say, $100 dollar cost average, and say maybe I'm going to increase that maybe $125, maybe $200, as long as it's still at that 5%? Maybe, right? But I'm going to continue to stay disciplined, because what you don't want to do is change your entire structure because of hype. That you don't want to do, because that's not you anymore. You are letting the market, you are letting hype, and you are letting people change you. That is not how you should be investing, especially again with something that is brand new. Because honestly, what has changed? The price of Bitcoin has changed. That is true. That is true. But as of today, nothing else has truly changed. You don't truly know, unless you've been doing a whole bunch more reading, you don't truly know more about Bitcoin than what you did in 2022. The vast majority of people. Today, we don't have a ton more regulations about Bitcoin than what we do back then. There is nothing today. Now in the future, I think we will have that, and I hope we do. But as of today, there is nothing preventing the next FTX from occurring. Now hopefully, again, we do. But today we don't. Okay, you hope that, I hope that, and I think we are inching towards that. But again, today, we technically do not. We still thought that Bitcoin was going to be the alternative to gold, and it was going to help with international stuff, and hedge against all that stuff we thought proved not to be true. You still don't have a true answer to that. We still don't really use it for transactions in the way that we were told and theorized it was supposed to do. People do use it more as a store of value. But remember, back in 2016, back in 2017, 2018, people thought that you were going to walk into a store and use it to pay for things. We don't really do that, do we? And it's 2024 going into 2025. We don't really know that much more about it, other than the fact that the price is higher than what it was 2, 3, 4 years ago, and higher now than what it was when you started this video, or lower than what it was when it started in this video, which doesn't really tell you more about the usefulness or the value of it. Price and value are two different things, and that is the point here. So you need to define it for yourself in your portfolio. Don't let everybody else and everything else change your portfolio, because at the end of the day, it is your money in your portfolio that you got to sit with. Okay, that's the key. And if you are somebody that, and I know it's at least 12 of y'all out there that's looking at all this stuff. I saw somebody post this earlier too, where you feel like, hey, congratulations, $100,000 for Bitcoin, whatever milestone, and you're not investing in crypto at all. To those people, you don't have to do it. You do not have to invest in crypto at all. And it is totally fine if you don't. It is still a new asset. And that's the thing too. If you're not investing in a particular asset, you're not necessarily missing out on something, provided that you're investing at all. If you're only investing in index funds and you're not investing in crypto, that's fine. Your money's still growing. As long as you are investing in something, you good. Okay? If you are investing in Apple or Tesla and you're not touching crypto, that's fine. Okay? You don't have to invest in every single thing under the sun to be successful and to build wealth. So I think a lot of people feel like there's a fear of missing out. You don't have to, and that's totally fine. Okay, so don't feel like you're missing out, and definitely don't let the noise change your values. Don't let the noise change your plans. Sit down, figure out what's important to you and what is your strategy, and then decide what makes the most sense. I've told you what my strategy is, and I ain't changing it for nothing. Okay? I got my 5% rule, and I've got my emergency situations. We talked about when, you know, if a CEO changes or gets fired or something, that's when I can switch a stock out right then and there, right? In case of emergency, we can do that. End of December, end of June, that's why I can switch out my portfolio and make those changes. It's December, so I'm gonna make some changes anyway. That is my strategy. I'm sticking to it. What I'm not gonna do is allow elections and noise and fears of all this kind of stuff and this news and all this buzz to get in my head and make me afraid, and then sell and do all this stuff and then turn around and say, oh my God, the stock market is up 20 or 30% and I missed it. That is why people lost money during the pandemic. If y'all remember, the pandemic, that year, the S&P 500 was up double digits. Double digits. And when the market fell, in March, it actually did bounce back for the end of the year, but people sold because they didn't have a strategy. And they allowed the noise, which was scary, they allowed all the noise and all the fear to change their value and change their portfolio as opposed to the other way around. So that is truly the lesson here. All right. Now, if you want to know what stocks that you may want to research and add to your portfolio or just investing strategy as a whole, then these are the videos that you want to watch next.